Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Soulful Prosperity. Today's guest is somebody who embodies what it means to turn pain into purpose and leadership into legacy. Dr. Gigi Sabbat is the CEO and founder of Life Service Center of America, a 2 times best-selling author, powerhouse speaker, and confidence coach endorsed by none other than Les Brown. But more than titles, she's a survivor of childhood sexual assault, domestic violence, and deep personal trauma. Her journey is not only inspiring, it's activating. Gigi has used every part of her story to become a fierce advocate for mental health, domestic violence survivors, human trafficking victims, and women's empowerment. She is a first generation Haitian American who's showing the world what soulful, servant, driven leadership looks like. She believes in setting measurable goals, taking aligned action, and living God's purpose boldly. Whether she's speaking on national stages, coaching high achievers, or hosting her own Walk With Me podcast, she's guiding people from being stuck to spiritually, financially, and emotionally unstoppable. So get ready to be moved, awakened, and reminded why you can never give up. So let's welcome the one and only Dr. Regeline Gigi Sabbat. And now we're going to find out how bad I butchered her names. Hi.
Hi, such an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you. Such
Well,
an honor to have you here. How did I do?
fantastic.
Okay, good. Awesome. So you know the drill. This is your stage here. I'm gonna, try not to interrupt you. It's not my strength. And I get very excited but I will, come in with some questions, but we want to hear your story. I mean, this is amazing, all that you have done and continue to do and all that you've been through, overcome. So let's hear it.
Absolutely. So in the intro, you mentioned quite a bit there as far as the domestic violence and sexual assault. And so yes, that did happen. I was sexually assaulted when I was 8, and again as an adult. As far as the domestic violence, that happened as well a few years ago. After everything that happened, I stepped into God's purpose for my life. I launched a podcast, the books, and the company Life Service Center of America. And God led me to host events that started off with domestic violence and sexual assault, topics that I'm a survivor of, but then he also led me to host them with my team in regards to various subjects. I mean, you name it, we haven't stopped since. Leadership, business, confidence, pregnancy, human trafficking, and we just wrapped up our 5th annual Global Leadership Conference.
Amazing. So how did you go get down this path?
God,
Yeah.
literally letting go and letting Him.
Yeah.
And it's by the grace of God that we're also able to do in-person events. And as you're aware, COVID happened, so our events were supposed to be in person. And COVID happened. I said, "All right, God, how on earth are the events going to happen?" He said, "They're going to happen anyway. Happen anyway. How on earth are we going to do them anyway with COVID?" Online. Literally, He has led me to do them online, and now we're gradually getting back to in-person events. And so that's why we're at our 3rd annual Global Warriors Conference.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that was never in person before
Yes,
COVID, or
yes.
what? Oh,
So
sorry.
we just wrapped up our 5th annual Global Leadership Conference. That's online. That's a
Right.
virtual summit. And then now we're doing our 3rd annual Global Warriors Conference in Palm Coast, Florida at the Hilton.
I'm speaking at that.
Yes, ma'am. It's such an honor to have you on the panel, as well as amazing individuals from all over the world.
Yes, there's quite a bunch of really impressive people that are going to be there.
Yes, ma'am.
Really cool. So I get it. God led you here. But what did you start out to be? Like, where did your journey start? Let's say when you were 18, 19, 20. What did you want to do? Is this exactly it, or?
Well, essentially, I was actually, as far as before everything happened, I literally was in law school at the time. Everything happened, and my life transformed at the blink of an eye. It transformed, and I got the shock of my life. And literally, again, and for me, that was a turning point, and literally, purpose, understanding God's purpose for my life in regards to what happened with the domestic violence matter. And so I stepped into purpose, literally.
I love that. So many people struggle with trying to find their purpose, and you just really put such a huge light bulb on it that your purpose is in your journey, in your experiences, in all that has happened, all the perceived, even terrible traumatic things. Your purpose does lie in it. It's like it's your blueprint. You go back, right?
Yes, ma'am. And I just graduated law school last year and literally will continue to speak and serve where God needs me to be.
Yeah, I love that. So how does the law degree add to what you're doing?
Well, I've heard various things from various individuals, bless their souls. I've heard in regards to how I can utilize the degree, but literally, I truly believe God already knows. But for me, it's continuously speaking and doing what He's called me to do here as a motivational keynote speaker.
Yeah, amazing. So just having extra knowledge, the law degree, like what prompted you to get the law degree?
Well, there's a backstory on that as well. So I talk about it in my Walk with Me book a little bit here, as far as my great aunt. So I have the Walk with Me book here. If you could see that, it's a little bit blurry, I know, with the backdrop. But
Yeah.
anyhow, my great aunt Mommy Uyu. So essentially, after I graduated high school, I gave her my diploma there, and I had no idea she was going to pass away afterwards. It's heartbreaking. Uh, Every time I think about it, it's heartbreaking because here's a woman and you're thinking that, okay, life goes on. You're thinking she's always going to be there. And you don't think about these things. And I remember handing her off the diploma and she says, no, I want your law degree. And I was so young at the time. And here she is. She says, I want your law degree. And literally, again, she passed away shortly after that, which is one of the difficult things that I had to go through. Literally, I had just started college as well, and I remember being in the it's one of the emergency rooms in the hospital where they send you when your medical condition gets so intense. So I
Mhm.
remember going there through class. So I'm in class, and then I'm also visiting her, literally, and hoping that she's staying with us. And so it literally I had to watch slowly and gradually just literally losing my great aunt. It's
Mhm.
very heartbreaking. And then I was told that they're now going to release her. So eventually got to the point where they said now they're going to pull the plug. And it was one of the most difficult things that I had to observe.
Mhm.
Not just that, I also gave the eulogy at her funeral, which was one of the most difficult things I had to do. And so literally she was like a mother in my life and she considered me as her daughter. And so that promise that I made to her, I said I wanted to stay true to that and continuously work on that law degree.
Amazing. It's funny. So I'm a high school dropout. I'm actually barely went to high school. Um, and then I decided maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I was going to go to college and then go to law school. And I was in my second semester in college, but then my granddaughter was due to be born. And I took a look at my life and I was like, I'm good. But because I wanted to spend all the time, any extra time I had with my granddaughter, and that was the decision I made. But that was the one thing I was like, I feel like everybody should have a law degree. I love the whole everything about law. Like it's just such interesting subject, and I do believe it adds depth and complexity uh, to whatever you're doing. So I think it was very very wise. I'm envious in a
Thank
good
you.
way. In a
Thank
good
you
way.
so much. And I love seeing how folks utilize that degree and I love them following their passion. I mean,
Yeah.
friends of mine who maybe they're professors now, or maybe they are utilizing it, maybe they are prosecutors, maybe their baby is teaching others about crim law. I just love it. I love seeing
Me
others
too.
follow their passion, or maybe it's being in that courtroom every single week. It's just, do you see, if you really truly look at an attorney and really look at the passion behind the individual, my God.
Yes. Well, my soon to be ex husband is an attorney, and I got to run his law office for a few years. And he used to be like, I think the only attorney I can't go up against and beat is you. That's why I was like, I'm going to law school. It just, other things entered and that took priority in my life. But yeah, I love it. I love lawyers. I love everything about it. I was the only realtor who used to just love attorneys, because I was in real estate for 30 years. And a lot of my friends were attorneys. But so tell me about, let's see, where do I want to go? I feel like I want to go to the trafficking, because that I told you that's a subject that's near and
Yes.
dear to my heart. And there was just something in the newspaper that I haven't read the article yet, but something really local. These six people were arrested and involved with, sex trafficking, young girls. And why do you think that we are so ignorant of the to this in our country? I feel like we even focus more, and it's not that I don't think we should. Like, I also live in the Dominican Republic, and I'm horrified at the age of some of these girls, and I know some of these girls are being brought to other countries and all of that, and I'm horrified and I want to stop all of that. But what's interesting to me, though, is how we choose to ignore it in our own country, like it doesn't happen here, like it's not happening. And it is happening, and it's happening. There's no prejudice. Like, it's happening to middle income, upper income, like any level. These girls are vulnerable and being lured into lifestyles and things that we as a society are setting it up for them to be so attracted to, that it's easy to bait them into certain things. So I feel like it's a societal issue and responsibility in a lot of ways. Um, the seeds that are planted that make these girls so vulnerable and attracted to certain lifestyles and things. Um, but why do you think that is, that we just kind of ignore it? Or do you even agree with me? Do you agree that we as a society in this country are completely ignoring the fact that we have young ladies in our country that are being sex trafficked regularly and daily?
Such a great question. So I can tell you with my political science and sociology background here, and
Yeah.
focusing on why people do what they do, and not just that, but there's a stigma. So there's a stigma associated with human trafficking, and it's that, okay, well, this can only happen in another place. This can't happen right here where I am or where I live. Yes, it can. It's happening right here in the backyard, and not to scare anyone, but it's a reality. It's a reality that we need to be aware of so that we can protect ourselves and our children and our loved ones and others in the community as well. And so it's not to scare anyone, but it is so that you continue to take your precautions and that you're aware, and that you're well educated on the subject. And so it's continuously not just raising awareness, but educating others about the subject. We did have a global human trafficking event a few years ago, and when we heard from the amazing speakers from all over the world, I mean, it wasn't just women. Human trafficking can also happen to men. So
Right.
there's another stigma associated with human trafficking.
It's so true. So if somebody wants to find out more, um, prevention, just stats, or what they can do to help, where would you suggest they get started?
Absolutely. Well, law enforcement is great. They're really good on that, on educating others about human trafficking. And then there's a lot of advocates out there in the world. I know a lot of them. And bless their souls for educating others about the subject. And I know it's not easy. Some of the things that they have to hear or read, it's not easy. And there was a gentleman who spoke at the human trafficking event that we had. And he says that he was abducted when he was just a little boy by his pastor, and he was chained to the barn, and literally he didn't think that there was any way out, and he was chained to the barn. And how did he get through? How did he get out of this barn? He used his teeth to break the chain to get out as a little boy. And then he ran. He says he ran away. And he said he never thought he never thought that would happen, but he used his teeth. Now he's a successful businessman. And not just that, he talks about his pearly whites now. He was able to get his teeth fixed.
I love that. That's a topic that I'm going to be diving further into. That'll be my portion of my business that I'm focusing on giving back to the community, because it's very, very important to me. So, what would you say is like the greatest lesson you've learned so far in your life?
I would say that it's again continuously meeting people where they are. So
Mm,
important. And so you never know what anyone's going through. We go through life, you may have a role or you may be in a position, but what the resume doesn't tell you is the challenges that someone is facing. What are they going through? So you see an individual in front of you, but you don't know what they're going through, what they may have gone through. And so just meet people where they are.
it's so true. I have a strategy that I do with clients a lot, is to take the scenario or the person that maybe is aggravating you or that you're judging really hardcore, and then come up with 10 scenarios. Well, maybe this is going on. Well, maybe that is going on, right? Maybe this is happening in their life. And then see how you feel about that situation after looking at it from all the different lenses. And the truth is, there could be millions of lenses of what's going on in their life, and we don't know. And we just get into judgment, into, like, it's really judgment. That's what it boils down to. It's like but how can you make a fair judgment without all the facts? You don't know what happened when they left their house this morning. You don't know what happened in their life in the last year. You don't know how they really are physically. We look at people and think everything's perfect, but you have no idea what it takes behind the scenes. Maybe they're struggling with autoimmune. Maybe we don't know. So I love that. But adding that depth of looking at it from different potential perspectives. I learned that when I was younger, about on the road when the car is like in front of you going really slow, they're doing whatever, just pretend that they're lost. Just pretend that they're lost. We've all been lost, right? You've been lost, and now you got 20 cars behind you and you're not sure if you should make the right, and the last minute you're like, oh no, I gotta go left, and now you do something that's pissing everybody off. And just putting yourself into that perspective. So if you don't know where they are, just try to think of it through the lens of love, right? All the different scenarios that could be going on in their life. And I think that the problem, and tell me what you think about this, is we struggle with grace, giving others grace, because we're not giving ourselves any grace. We're so hard on ourselves. We're like, we should be doing this. I should have been doing that. And why did I do this? And why am I not doing it that way? So it really starts with ourselves. If we're giving ourselves that grace and that love, it's going to be so much easier to pass that along and meet people where they are.
That's right. And I love what you said about not living in a perfect world, because it's true. And it's about progression, not perfection.
Oh my gosh. And if we're constantly comparing, we'll never have perfection, because that's subject to perspective, right? And our perspective changes. And so it's like, try not to even just be comparing. I think I saw a quote today: comparison and is the absence of happiness, or something like that. And I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful, because we do that. And with social media and with all of those things, that's kind of what happens. We're living in a world of comparison.
That's right. And God first. It's so important to keep God first. And so I wanted to share this book here, my book, God First. And so it's all about helping others understand the importance of having God first, not just in their personal lives, but all areas of their lives, including.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry, I got excited.
Yes, ma'am. I love it. I love the energy. Bring it.
All areas in their life, including
Yes,
everything. Yeah.
everything.
This is what split me open and put me back together again. For 30 years of my real estate career, almost all 30 of it, maybe 25 years of it, I stumbled upon my spiritual practice. And I had this great spiritual practice. For me, it was Buddhism, and I do believe in God. Buddhism is not a religion but that was my spiritual practice. And so I would spend the weekends at the monastery, and I was involved with the prison program, and I was this, but I had like this spiritual persona, and then I had my business and other persona, and they were not together. And so while I felt so great in my spiritual persona, I did not feel great in my business and my other world. And then when I brought these together, maybe I started really doing that about 8 years ago. Oh my gosh, the freedom, the joy, the ease, the knowing, that intuition, all of it, like, just so beautiful. The clarity itself when you are applying everything you do through that lens of God, right? Or whatever that is to you, your higher power, the universe, whatever. Everybody has a different form of what God is for them. And yeah, so is this something you were raised with?
Absolutely. Yes. And not just that, trusting the process. And I want to circle back to what you said there, as far as maybe if someone went through a challenge and where they are with their faith. And question I receive all the time is, does God still love me even though I may have done this or that, or maybe I made a mistake? Yes, he does. He seeks to meet you where you are, and I talk about it a little bit more in the book. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He wants to meet you where you are. So again, the question is, can I go before God even though I've committed certain acts? Yes, you can.
I agree. I know God loves me, and I have been through a lot of things and have not been I've been far from perfect. I feel like here's the interesting thing, because I one of my goals is to be impeccable. And impeccable is so different than perfect in my definition. Because impeccable is where you are doing the absolute very best with where you're at right now, who you are right now, the resources you have right now, blah blah blah. And so that was a big relief for me from the perfectionism. Um, because that's like the perfect lens, the perfect filter to look at it through. It's like if you're doing the very best, and then who said? Is it Toni Morrison? Uh, know better, do better. Who said that? Love that quote. It's gonna drive
Tony,
me. It,
if that was his name, Tony.
Toni. The who am I thinking of? But anyway, it's a great quote. No, when once you know better, you do better. And that's what impeccable means to me. It means like right here, right now, in this moment, today, you made the best choices you could. And sometimes that may be not doing everything that's on your to-do list. Sometimes that may be the best choice, right? With who you are, where you are, and what's going on in your life right now in this moment. And I agree with you that God is love. God is not judgment. God is not any of those things. And we don't take that grace and apply it to ourselves often enough.
That's right. And I want to circle back to what you said because it's so important too when you're educating or teaching, give it freely to the people, the knowledge that you have. One of my wise mentors, Bob Proctor, he said, give that information. It's okay, share it out. And so, and it's one of my principles still today as a coach, as I go in the coaching sessions each and every single week. It's something that I apply continuously, providing them with that knowledge, right? And not holding it, continuously giving it freely. And again, it's not about us, it's about the people that we serve as leaders. And I want to share another book. It's called Voices for Leadership. It's a collaborative book here on leadership, right? And it's with friends from all over the world. And when we talk about leadership, it's our ability to take ourselves out of it and serve his people.
Yeah. So take ourselves out of it. What do you mean by that?
Yes. So essentially, again, it's not about us. It's about the people that we serve. So not going in there and saying, well, everything is not going well right now for me right now. And I can't do this. If you're told tomorrow you need to give a talk, but now you're sitting there and you're telling me, well, I'm not doing it because of this, that, and the third, or I didn't get what I want, or I didn't do this. No, these are what we consider excuses. No, we want you to there. We want you present. Unless you have an emergency of some sort or some real life matter, we want you there. We want you present.
Mm, mm. And what is your take on leadership? One of my takes on leadership is that we are all leaders. We are all leaders. And so when we can, and I think that links to understanding your purpose.
Yeah.
And so, but we all have different strengths. But when we can, if we can all begin to consider ourselves leaders and start taking the lead in any of the areas in our life that we should be having ownership or agency over, I think that a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of things would begin to disappear. Because I truly believe that also comes from not living to your highest and best version of yourself. That's where the mediocrity, depression, those things come from. What's your take on leadership?
Absolutely. Again, it's also meeting people where they are, but not just that, and listening in. Listening is so important. And I'm grateful for the mentors I've had in my life. I just told you one, Bob Proctor, but not just that, Les Brown, the list goes on, Melanie Ake, Jonah Casio, Forbes Riley, the list goes on. Beautiful souls, but it required a level of listening as well.
Hmm. Yeah, listening was a challenge for me for a long time, and I'd like to think I've become a pretty good listener.
Yeah,
Still struggle. As a matter of fact, I'm a Toastmaster, and one of the best things that I get out of Toastmasters, because you think you go to Toastmasters just to learn how to public speak. Yeah, well, tomorrow I'm the evaluator, and I can't tell you how many times as the evaluator I'm like a minute into the speech, I'm like, shit, I didn't listen. I didn't listen to the first part. And I'm like, okay, come back, come back, come back. Yeah. So, whoa, you think Toastmasters is just because you want to get up on the stage and razzle dazzle, but Toastmasters actually trains you on all levels of communication. And we forget how important listening is for communication. I'm just like, I'm the evaluator. I'm like, oh, like her speech is already a minute and a half in, and I haven't paid 1 ounce of attention. And you are acutely aware. So I love that you said that about listening as a part of leading, and then also knowing that as a leader, you have a responsibility to be filling your cup. As a matter of fact, especially women, oftentimes leaders are givers, especially women. We are naturally givers and taker carers, whatever that means. But we almost have a responsibility to not just fill our cup, but to have our cup overflowing, which is learning, right? Part of that is learning and taking classes and taking courses and sleeping and resting and eating properly and making sure that we're balanced, really filling our cup so it's overflowing, because trying to lead from a half empty cup or an empty cup, as I did for years, you're not actually leading.
That's right.
You may be, you're just not leading to your potential. You're not leading to the right outcomes, right? It's really important. But I love that you said listening is good
Yes.
for
Yes.
leaders.
And I love how you talked about giving, right? But not just that, just like you're able to give, you need to be able to receive.
Yes. Yes. And then you could give more. You give better. You give, like, it's so much more quality. So it's not selfish as we think.
No.
Oh yeah, this all, and not only that, I also learned in the last couple of years I was a people pleaser. Okay, nobody in the world would ever have believed that I was a people pleaser, but I was like beyond. And the fact is that when you are motivated and you think it's coming from love and you think it's coming from this, where you want to control and fix and make sure everybody around you is good, and it's really coming from a place of insecurity and a lack of faith and trust in God. Why do I believe in God, but I don't think he has the right plan for my daughter? Right? How
Right.
do we forget this? Like, okay, she has her own plan. She has her own relationship with God. And I'm here to pick up the pieces to support and love, but not to be forcing what lane and what this and that. And so for so many years, I just did for everybody. But really, it was about my own insecurity, shame I hadn't dealt with, trauma I hadn't dealt with. And it was the way to make me feel good. But yet it looked like I was like this selfless person doing it for everyone. But the bottom line, the point that I want to make is that I really wasn't doing anybody any good because I was an empty cup.
Cannot serve from an empty cup.
No, no. And so now I put myself first. I take care of myself so well in every aspect, that impeccability that we're talking about. My relationships with my daughter has never been better. My relationship with everybody in my life has never been better. And some of that includes breakage, you know, that this relationship is not serving me at this point and whatever. And that doesn't mean I love that person less or that I think I'm better or that I'm judging. It's just learning how to take care of yourself. Really, really crucial.
That's right. Self care truly matters. And I want to circle back to what you said as far as people pleasing, right? If you're listening to this message today, stop people pleasing. And not just that, self care. We talked about self care. And stop saying yes to everything, because if you say yes to everything, you can't be where God needs you to serve.
No, and this comes back to that clarity, knowing your purpose and then being able to use that as your compass, right? And it's okay once you are so clear on this purpose, and like you said, it's God's purpose.
Yes.
Once you are so clear on this purpose, it's okay. You realize how okay it is to be like, is this aligned with my purpose? What do I get out of this? How does this serve me? Because I'm here to serve millions of people. That's my purpose. So if I'm not making sure that I'm whole, I'm really hurting that vision, that mission that I am on. So it's okay to look at it through the lens of, how does this serve me?
That's right. And
Mind blowing.
yes, ma'am. And oftentimes it's that comfort zone that will keep people in the same place that they've been majority of their lives. So be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes, like I have a talk that I do called Becoming Anti-Fragile, where you get to a place where the challenges come and you're actually excited and you could look at it from curiosity like, okay, this is interesting. I wonder where this is going. I wonder what version of me I'm going to be after this, instead of the gloom and the doom and all of this. Really being able to look at it through curiosity, almost like a new scene in a movie, like, okay, so what tools do I have? What are the tools that I've learned? What do I have to help me? What can I implement now to navigate through this? And that's the opportunity to put it all into practice, right? Like, we have a whole world that's going to yoga class and doing all the things, but they're doing what I did. They leave it on the mat. They forget that you're on the mat so that you can take it into the real world and apply it. I like to call these affirmations, right? Instead of affirmations. Take the opportunities to affirm all these things that the world right now, there's more people looking for awakening and spiritual enlightening and deeper relationship with God and blah 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 blah. But if you're going to have different separate personas and you're not bringing it all together and using those tools in real life, what's the point?
That's right. And some will also say that it's the trauma that's keeping them back, right? And so I want to share this book with you as well, because oftentimes I come across individuals who say that. And so it's called Overcoming Heart Blocks: Inspiring Stories for Healing from Trauma. It's another collaborative book that I wrote with friends, including my own mom, who came forward about her own heart block. So face the trauma.
Yeah. I
I,
never faced my trauma until very recently. As a matter of fact, I've only been this kind of coach. I was coaching in real estate for many, many years, but the kind of coach I am now, my own coaching business, 2.5 years. My first year in coaching was a big therapy session for me. I just went out and shared my story and cried on stages. But you know what? I impacted people. I may not have been where I am now, where I can move people and get them to take action and this and that, but I know that I led a lot of people to deal with their trauma, because here I was on a stage dealing with my trauma, and it helped. It really worked. And then I took, like, like a year of, like, just don't be in growth mode, just deal with all this trauma. And that's exactly what I did. I thought I dealt with it, but really what I did was put it on a shelf and go into overdrive.
that's right. What caused your trauma, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I had a very traumatic childhood to begin with, but then in my 20s I wound up homeless on the streets, crack addicted, heroin addicted. I was raped, sodomized, kidnapped, trafficked, you name it. I had my daughter under very, very difficult circumstances, but once I got pregnant with her, I was able to get out. But once I got pregnant with her and I got out, I just went right into, oh, I got nothing else to do. I'm going to get my real estate license. And the next thing you know, I'm a top producer, industry leader, community leader. Never told anybody about my past. Very, dealing with a lot of shame. If they only knew, like, just doing everything I thought everybody wanted me to be so that I was not that other version of me. Meanwhile, Street Jen, as I call her, she's got a seat at my table. There's plenty of times where I'm like, okay, we got to call you in. We need you here right now, whether it's for negotiating or just standing up for myself, or, so it's like, not only have I dealt with the trauma, but it's not like I packed it up and put it away or like anything. It's that wholeness. This is who I am. This is who I am. And I love who I am. And you know what? I wasn't alone. I think I shared with you about did I did, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Saint Martha.
Yes, you did. You shared.
Okay. I was not alone in my journey. So there's no shame or judgment or anything. And guess what? All of that, including more trauma that I've dealt with in my adult life, makes me a great coach. Period.
Yes, I bet it does. And when we talk about healing, everyone's healing journey is truly unique. And so there's another collaborative book here. It's called Healing and Growth that I wrote with friends, and including my own mother. who talks about her journey as well. And so everyone's healing journey is truly unique, and it takes time.
Yeah,
It takes time.
it does take time. And I forget which coach told me this, but I love this because, it can get frustrating at times with healing. It's like
Mm,
you all of a sudden you're like, why am I here again? I have dealt with this. I thought this was dealt with. And it's like healing is like a spiral staircase. And so the view is exactly the same, but all of a sudden you look out and you're like, wait a minute, why am I in the same spot? And then you realize, oh, I'm actually looking at this from a much higher level. And so it can feel that way. And people forget to tell you that part. They forget to tell you like about having spiritual awakenings or, getting right with God or whatever you want to call it, that there's a lot of ugliness that comes with it. There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of all the things, because it's just, but it is so worth it and it is so good. But then there's also a time where you can transcend the healing, and I've done that too. uh because I don't want to stay in healing for the rest of my life either. I want to know that I am whole and I am vibrant and I am vital and I'm ready to go at the same time. But then sometimes I have to come back to it and be like, no, that needs a little more balm. It needs a little more nurturing, needs a little bit more love. Um, but you don't have to stay stuck in it either, if that makes sense to you.
I agree 100%. And so you don't want to be healing your entire life, and you need to face it. You need to, if it's trauma, you need to face it. And someone asked me, what does it feel like on the other side of the heart block? And in one word, and that was peace. The first thing that came to mind was peace. And
Yeah.
so I would have never known peace had I not faced it. As difficult as it may have been, I had to face it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I love it. I love it. So, if you had one message to get out to the world, what would it be?
Well, God's put it on my heart to share this with you all. It's a quote that I have here: leave the past in the past and take the lesson with you.
So true. It reminds me of something I talk about regret. Regret is not a bad thing if it gives you clarity. You use it for clarity. You use it for knowing what you don't want or what doesn't work. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. But learn the lesson.
Yes.
Don't just beat yourself up. I feel like when you use regret where you're ruminating over and over what I should have done, and that you end up doing it again because you don't actually learn the lesson. You're just beating yourself with it, right? Like yeah, you get it. It's not something that's not what regret is for, because we're gonna fail and we're gonna fail miserably and we're gonna mess up and we're gonna make the wrong choices and we're gonna do things that maybe wasn't our best move or it wasn't completely out of love. We are human.
Yes, we are. And what does Jen's hat say today? It says gratitude. Yes, that's right. Gratitude. If you're listening into this message today, you're listening into it, the auditory component, you may not be able to see Jen, but her hat says gratitude. Write it down, gratitude, and let go and let him.
Yeah, and embody it. Don't just wear the hat, right? Embody it. When you think of somebody that impacted your life, said something kind to you, did something, take the moment, reach out, spread that love. Or just somebody you don't even know, walking by the street. I love your smile. I love your hair. I love your outfit. I love everything, right? Whatever. Share it, spread it, embody it.
Yes,
It's
kindness.
not just a list in your journal.
Yes, ma'am. One of our amazing speakers, Jill Lublin, who spoke at our fifth annual Global Leadership Conference, she talks about kindness a lot. And just be kind. What is one act of kindness that you can do this week or
Yeah.
every single day? How about that one?
That's mine. That's one I can do very easily, and it's a really beautiful practice. Just notice one thing about everybody you see that you like, that you admire, that you notice, and that stands out. And that's a really easy one because that makes people feel good.
I love
So
it.
tell us about this event that I'm speaking at, and then tell us about anything else that you want to tell us so that we know how to find you, how to work with you, and all the good things.
Yes, ma'am. That's our third annual Global Warriors Conference. It's our in-person event of the year. It's an event you do not want to miss. It's in Palm Coast, Florida at the Hilton this year. Again, you need to be in the room, get there. Okay. We want to see you. Yes, we want to see you. And we will have a notebook and a pen for you. Make sure to take lots of notes. Why? Because there's going to be value. And it's a 2 day event, September 19th through the 20th. Again, that's in Palm Coast, Florida. It's a faith based leadership and business event. We'll see you there.
Love it. Love it. And we'll have all of your links where you get this podcast, wherever you are getting it. The links will be below, however you clicked into it. Is there anything else that you want to tell them about working with you or finding you or anything?
Yes, I want to share with them real quick to not give up, but also where you can find me is on the website. Go to the contact us section, reach out to the team. And that's again, Life Service Center of America, LLC.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Gigi Sabbat.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will be back. And I hope to see many of you at this conference. I'm actually going to be staying in the Palm Coast for 3 weeks. So if you decide to come down, reach out to me, let me know. We'll get together. And I'm super excited to collaborate with you on this event. And I really enjoyed getting to know you better. So thank you.
Likewise, God bless.